What is going on, everybody? I am back today to talk about a full season of television, and I've talked about, I believe, every season of this show on my YouTube channel, and that is the television series The Bear. I am an enormous fan of The Bear. I am someone who, the first college degree that I got was in hospitality and restaurant management. I worked in restaurants majority of my career, and so the culinary world and all that surrounds it has been incredibly important to my life. And even though I'm not in that industry anymore, I still love to cook. I still work with food quite a bit. And I always appreciate making meals for people. And one of the things that I've been so impressed with The Bear throughout its entire runtime as a show is the way that it treats the subject matter when it comes to the industry. It very much understands the industry to a very core fundamental level that showcases fine dining or even just making a casual meal for your family and friends, and like the love and the artistry that exists in it, and also just how difficult of a career it is to get involved in. And I've been very much looking forward to this season. I loved the last season. I thought it's a great character building show, and it is a show solely and completely focused on great character writing. And so I was hoping that they would just expand on that in this season, and I'm excited to tell you a little bit about it today. So in season 4 of The Bear, very simplistically, we're jumped back in to the restaurant, and as we know, in the third season there were a ton of problems that showed up. They had to go through quite a bit. There were a lot of tensions that arose and a lot of conflict between characters, and Carmy was very much in his own head after all of it, and like there's some separation between him and Richie. It doesn't seem like him and Sydney can ever really get on the same page, and they have been told at the beginning of this season that there is essentially an expiration date on the restaurant. If they can't bring sales up, if they can't keep things coasting and like make some form of a profit, they're going to have to shut the restaurant down. And of course, Harmon doesn't want that. He believes that this is his dream and what he wants to do, and he knows how many people's lives are riding on this succeeding. And really, the only successful portion of the restaurant at this current moment is the beef window. It's what's making them a ton of money, it's what's bringing them in revenue. And because Carmen is consistently changing the menu, wanting higher cost, unattainable ingredients, it's making it very difficult for the restaurant to succeed. And so this season is really watching the day-to-day operations of the restaurant and the decisions that Carmen and Sid have to make in order to try to get the restaurant to become successful so that they can continue to stay open. So like I said, I was really excited to watch this season of the show, and I read some pretty varying critic reviews of this. People that really loved it, some people say that it's losing its steam, and I think this is one of the best shows on television, and I really loved this season. I think if you're into slice of life character dramas, that is 100% what The Bear has become. I think a lot of people might be upset that it's kind of laid off the gas when it comes to like the really intense restaurant specific things, but I feel like they're pulling away from that because they're focusing on this character building. This season felt so much like most of the characters completely embracing their identity and what they've learned about themselves in the culinary world, and then Carmen realizing that he doesn't know what his identity is outside of the restaurant, and having everyone else kind of like embrace themselves and know what they want, and him being completely and totally uncertain as to what he wants. And I thought that it was a very brilliant way to write a season of television. And as per usual, all of the performances in this show are absolutely incredible. There were so many amazing moments in this show that I was completely blown away by. Io Debris as Sydney had some moments in this that just really took me by surprise. She's such an incredibly talented actress, but she's also writing for the show. She's done some directing, but she has some truly emotionally moving moments in this season that I was just really blown away by. There's a scene between Carmen and his mother, so Jeremy Allen White and Jamie Lee Curtis, that were just like mind blowing how good it was. Like, I really loved the development between those two characters and what we've learned about them over time. And I think it works really well. I love Richie. He's one of my favorite characters in the show, and he also has a lot of things that he has to go through this season. Some of the characters don't necessarily get the same level of screen time as like some of the main characters, especially in comparison to previous seasons, but I'm not gonna like count the crew out for doing more with those characters from the fifth season. But I really love the moments that we got with these characters here, and there's something about this show that's so incredibly wholesome. And I think outside of the restaurant industry, it does such an amazing job at depicting chosen family. And I think In a world that we live in now where it feels like more and more, especially with the current political climate, like kids are cutting their parents off. They don't want anything to do with them anymore because they can't see how they live their lives and they don't understand who they are. And I think a lot of times, whether it be work or social media or any of those things, we can often cling on to people and develop these families even though they're not blood. And I am someone who firmly believes blood does not make family. If a person doesn't love you and care about you, they're not your family. And what I love so much about this show is you have characters like Richie, or you have Richie's ex-wife. You have all of these different people that are introduced into the show, or even people at the restaurant like T and Marcus, and all of these characters that they come together and they are a family. They treat each other like they're a family. They build each other up. They're there for each other in the lowest moments of their lives. They get in arguments, but they also have really great moments. And I think that's so indicative of a family structure, and it's depicted in a way that is raw and brutal and honest. And that's what I love so much about this show. The finale episode of this season all takes place in one room, and it's all dialogue driven, and it did such an amazing job at portraying this dynamic between these three specific characters in a way that was so raw and brutally honest. And that's what I thought was so beautiful about this season. But on top of that, the struggles with the restaurant industry, it's very real. When you get into the restaurant industry, you are not an immediate success. It is hard work, and a lot of times you barely break even. Being in the industry, you adapt or die. I think this movie does such an amazing job showcasing that very thing, that you adapt or you die, and what it means to not just be about you, but to be about all of these other people that are working in the business and that rely on you completely and totally. And that thematically, I just thought that was great. And it was also accompanied by really great music again. The show is shot so beautifully. It feels like you're watching a movie a lot of times because of the attention to detail and the cinematography. But I just found myself being incredibly moved throughout the entire season and just how beautiful emotionally it was. There were some really hard hitting, like gut punching moments throughout the season, but I feel like it's definitely more toned back and focused on specific relationships in the show. I was really kind of blown away by the people that were aggravated by the Carmen and Claire relationship. I think it's very well written, and I think having two people that are in, complete career fields that are different but also simultaneously the same when it comes to the demand on your time and energy and the impact that it has on your mental health. I thought that it was done very, very well. And I think the way that Carmen's character in particular is approached, it just works really brilliantly. There was an episode in this season with Io Debris' character Sid that she went over to family's house to get her hair done. And it was her and I believe her cousin that were spending time together. She was like 11 or 12. And it was just such a beautiful episode of television. And just seeing like the raw honesty you can get from children sometimes that haven't necessarily been impacted by the world in the same way as adults have. There are just so many moments like that that I was completely and totally enthralled with the performances and just how incredible the show was written. I love this show. I get more out of it every single season. I thought that it was so well done. And I think if you like The Bear, you'll find things to appreciate about it. But if you enjoy slice of life dramas with really great character writing, I think you should definitely watch this show and you'll really appreciate the fourth season. Have you seen The Bear season 4? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Leave me a comment down below. Let me know what you thought. I thought this season was great. I think that it's just as good as the seasons that have preceded it, and I'm looking forward to more in the future. As always, if you can like the video and subscribe to the channel, helps me out a lot and lets me know the type of content you're looking for. I'm always putting out new material. I'm looking forward to putting out more for you in the near future. And as always, everyone, thank you so much for watching and have a great rest of your day.